Hi, I'm Christopher Stapleton. I'm going to be talking to you about interoperability, unlocking extended reality, or XR. I'm taking a human perspective on mixing reality for social XR. This is when XR, or virtual worlds, are used as communication platforms to really kind of escalate engagement of a user or consumer base. Now, imagine the future, maybe off into deep space, where we have real, virtual, human machine interacting in these mixing of realities within a social network. These all come together, interacting as one area of relationships, of destinations, and identities. All of these are interacting as one world, not as separate worlds. So I'm looking at it from a point of view of an experienced architect pioneering social XR. And so I've been applying this to entertainment, research, enterprise, education, and my latest projects are working with mixed reality thrill ride adventure films, which is very pertinent into our discussions on interoperability, is really reimagining society in deep space. When we get out to the off-world habitation, we're going to be outnumbered by robots because they're going to be preparing us in such a hostile environment. We're going to be techno species that we're going to survive based upon our technology that we wear. If the environment doesn't kill us, well, the basic human interaction that we use on Earth, we're probably going to kill each other. We're going to need to change society in our interaction and our interoperability between humans, much less between technology and humans. And this loneliness, which is isolation, is becoming a real critical factor in really looking at off-world deep space exploration. And we really have to address innovating society itself. The social innovation is, the technology is not there to replace us. It's a simulation technology that's there to augment us and be an interoperability membrane between the human interaction and the machine interaction and intelligence. And when we can advance humanity along with technology, we can start to see a sustained, resilient society in really hostile environments. And the hostility isn't just in the environment, it's us in our own interaction in social cohesion. And we have to really start to look at solving those problems here on Earth before we can even consider launching humans to Mars. So let's take a look at this experiential interoperability. And there's kind of 5 layers we want to unlock for XR innovation. One is to really look at reality itself. How do we perceive and sense the reality? The other is, what do we simulate beyond our own physical reality? What do we capture and start to capture these converging behaviors together so that we start to make sense of seeing how we can improve and self-efficacate? And then we have to analyze that data so that we can start to automatically, capture and analyze so that it can start to tell us where we're going off wrong, where we can predict other models of behavior and interaction. And then in the end, we need all this technology working together to analyze and develop and validate new treatments that our other professional subject matter experts are going to create to transform our old realities and really kind of create a new reality for us from the future. So let's look at how we perceive the real world. There is this physical reality that we have. That's taken in and observed through all our 5 senses. And that's not necessarily the reality that is our consciousness. Our consciousness is the mental model we have inside by sensing, reasoning, and empathizing with the outside world and other society. And it's these things that really is what our true reality is internally behind our eyeballs. Now, if we take a look at reality, we really have 2 different realities that together that has to interoperate. We have the external reality, which we're adding all this virtuality around us, but also we have the whole continuum between real and virtual. It doesn't have to be just one or the other. When we put virtual reality in reality, we have augmented reality. When we put reality into virtuality, we had augmented virtuality. This all encompasses mixed reality, which then goes into its own continuum that we can work with any level. And then internally, a whole nother continuum that's happening. This goes into creating our true experience, our dreams, our visions, our memories, our daydreams. And these are all interoperating together as to create our own mental model. So you have these two continuums working with the third continuum. This is a sociality continuum that gives us our three dimensions or axes of expanding reality. We go from 100% experience like in a movie theater where it's linear, passive, solo, and you're just consuming the content, to 100% where we're actually nonlinear, we're interactive. It's a group experience, and we become creators, not just consumers in this environment. And that's a broad spectrum with a lot of dynamics and interactivities and choices and options. So when you bring these three together, we're able to start to converging behavior, whether it's machine or human. And that's where we're going to be mixing and interoperating the live simulation, the virtual simulation, and also the fictional simulation. Now, the fictional has to do with story, and story is the fabric of all reality, particularly internally inside our heads. Our brain works on story. Everything that we remember is attached to a story. It's very different from a computer. Now, when we get to capture, we have to start to look at these converging behaviors. And one relationship is between a subject matter expert or a practitioner, a doctor. Here we're working with a cognitive rehabilitation scientist and looking at their analogical reasoning. You don't really try to work on their disabilities. You really work on their abilities. These are all aspects that are very different from physical reality that we need social XR environment to really kind of start to have a constant aspect of being able to monitor, intervene, predict, and to analyze and also validate really important innovative techniques that professionals in the field are using. Here we're taking a table of about 8 people all around examining a single task, which is understanding what we call the story trove. This is a box of story provocative artifacts that they need to bring out, analyze, use critical thinking, creative problem solving, all these different aspects, particularly the teamwork. So all these 8 different human beings are being captured and perceived, and perceptual computing is understanding their expressions, their voices, their tone, their orientation, their engagement. And what we're doing is getting some raw measure from here, but it's measure without meaning. And from that, we're bringing in subject matter experts that can experience this in 360 degrees in stereo, audio, and visual. So it's like they're in the middle of the event, even though they were never there. And this allows for a detailed post-analysis and remote monitoring. But with that data, if we can start to automatically collect it and synthesize it and really start to find patterns, we can also bring the subject matter expert and tagging this, and so that we're really kind of getting an interoperability of data, this data of computer analytics and human analogics. But what we're trying to do is bring that conversation of those machine and humans together so that the whole is equal to more than the sum of the parts. And this is where we get to our fifth and final layer, and that is treatment. How do we treat who we are now to really change the old realities to get to the new reality? And this is where we get to the state of simularity, where simulation becomes the interoperable membrane between humans and machines. And really, let's see if we can get the human perspective mixed with the technology of mixed reality so we can get the most advanced social XR out there. I'm Christopher Stapleton, and I'm a CEO of Simiosys Real World Laboratories. I'm an experiential architect for Museo Studios, and you can contact me for more information. Thank you so much for allowing me to kind of invite you to this next level of engagement. I hope to see you there. Thanks.